Next, we will look at the components you need to become a good forward, starting with a 3-bar shooting series. There's many different types of shots from the 3-bar, but we call them the big three. Classic American pull shot, European shot, which we call the Euro front toe, and the hybrid, which is the snake shot. Other shots are still very valuable. Shots like back pin, push shot, the kick shots, push kick, pull kick, tic-tac shots are also very, very good. However, over the last 25 years, at most of the major championships that I've seen, a shooter using one of the big three, pull shot, European front toe, or snake shot, has won every one of those events. So for sure, learn at least one of those shooting series.
Hi guys, I'm Ken. I live in Shanghai. I'm Dutch. I play foosball here in Shanghai with Shanghai Foos. Today I'll be demonstrating the pull shot, mimicked after players like Todd Lafredo and Tom Yor, and of course the great Dave Gummerson.
Okay, welcome everyone. Today we're going to look at the pull shot. Our guest shooter introduced himself recently as Kenny. He's from Holland. And we're going to talk about the pull shot, which originated in the US. A lot of great pull shooters over the years: Jim Wiswell, Todd Lafredo, Dave Gummerson, Tom Yor, Adrian Zamora. And even though there's no hard and fast rules you must always follow, the majority of the time it does come down to 3 or 4 things. The first thing is you're going to look at is a standard setup. The next thing you're going to look up is foot position, hand position, especially position of the wrist, whether you hold it far along the handle, short on the handle. That's a bit more of a preference, but we're going to talk about some of the basics that you really should follow until you have really good success, and then you can experiment a bit more. So starting off with that, Kenny, if you can come on in, we're going to start off with the setup.
Hi, Brett.
So to have all the options available, you always start off with the ball as far left as possible. And what you'll notice is the actual bumper for the left winger is right against the wall. And then as you pull it across, you have 2 basic options. One is what we call a spray, and one is what we call a square. Here's a spray. And for that to work, so because it's going to angle, if you want to hit the far corner, the release point has to be a little bit shorter. Go ahead again. Beautiful. The next one we have is called a square. A square really means a 90-degree angle at the shot. And now you'll see a square. And what you'll notice is that even though it begins as a pull shot, the finish ends up almost as like a push shot. Try it once more. We call that a recoil. The net result is that it comes off the rod at approximately 90 degrees, whereas a spray comes off at much more than 90 degrees. One more time. Great. So if I was to give Kenny this defense here, what I'm leaving him open is a square middle. If I gave him this defense here, I'd be giving him both a long spray and a long square. If I gave him this defense, and if he caused me to jump out of the way, what I'm going to give him is a straight. And if I gave him a reverse defense, that would give him a middle spray. Let's come back to the setup again. Go ahead and actually set the ball up, so move it around a little bit and leave it set up. Definitely as you're practicing your pull shot, you want to practice all components, including the setup. Perfect. Also included in that is how far it is left to right and how far it is front to back. What you may have noticed was Kenny actually adjusted it front to back to get it to the exact position where he feels comfortable, that he has control over all the various options. And at that point, he can now do all the different options we just spoke of without really thinking about it. The next thing we're going to talk about is the feeling you should have. The feeling you should have when you shoot the pull shot should be that you're always maintaining a touch on the ball. Go ahead and shoot one, Ken. What we're going to do now is we're going to slow it down and show you a couple of versions of that. What I want you to notice is he does not, I repeat, he does not take a big wind up. So do one wrong, Ken. Come back and do a big wind up and then shoot. Why? Because even though that lets you shoot the ball harder, you really lose control and you lose the ability of squaring to a great degree. Much better is to limit the amount of wind-up and to focus more on the follow-through. One training aid that we do sometimes is when we do a pull shot, we have someone put their hand behind, and what we say is, don't touch the hand. We'll do this next shot from a couple of different angles. What you should see in the directly overhead angle is, because his man is actually behind the ball, when he laterally moves the ball left to right, the ball will slide forward. He doesn't have to stop touching the ball will automatically go into place, allowing him to actually kind of flick the shot as opposed to wind up and strike it. So we'll do this extra slow. He'll come back and actually make the ball go forward and then flick it in. Go ahead. Perfect. Now, where you are now, you may see the hand position. We'll also do a close-up on this. The hand should have the palm facing straight down and should be flat. Go ahead and shoot. Whether you have a lot of tension in your hand or whether you have, like Kenny, rather a fairly loose hand, that's a little bit up to you. What most people say is they have a faster shot with a looser hand. But some pro masters like Todd Lafredo have said that he also practices with a very tense hand because at the time of the match, when he's under a lot of pressure, he knows he'll be feeling that way. Rather than fight that feeling, what he'd rather do is have it practiced so he has confidence with it.
So basically I place my hand horizontal on the bar. But some players prefer to only handle the grip, but I prefer also for a little bit more control. I guess, yeah, for a little bit more control, I like to also have one finger on the bar. I know there's some players who like it more here. I guess then you have a more powerful shot. The follow-through is more powerful and you generate more swing from the bar. But I actually like the control much better. And then, because you don't want to go too much up, you only have to basically concentrate of only pushing your hand down. And you want to, of course, recoil it after, so recoil it.
Bend it down. Next, the position of the ball next to the man. Some people start with the ball and the man quite far back. Some people start with it quite far front and they draw it back. That's a little bit of a preference. I believe that Todd Lafredo says that he starts with a little bit back and the man even further back. What he says is it's less moving parts. What it allows him to do is to simply pull it straight across and it's in the prime shooting position for him. Let's go ahead and try one of that with the man back a little bit more. Other people, like there's one pro master from Minnesota who actually starts with the man much more under the ball. And then what he has to do, he actually has to draw the man back, not to the point where he's like striking it, but to the point where he actually has the control to also do a square. But he starts off with it like this, and then he draws it back as he's pulling it laterally. Both can be very effective. Go with what works for you. The next feature is reading the defense. One way to read the defense is to do a fake. This could be simply go behind it, or it could be pull the ball over and then put it back in place. So what you're attempting to do here is to find out, what are they doing? Are they locked in place? Are they racing you? Are they baiting you? Are they timing you? What's going on? At an extreme, if you set up many times, that allows you to do what's called a moving pull shot. The great thing about the moving pull shot is it puts the defense on the defensive at all times. Another great feature of the moving pull shot is because you already have momentum attached to the ball's already moving, it actually makes your long faster. Great. Probably the toughest of the moving shots is the moving straight. Going back to the basics now. The basics are, even though you have two different ways of striking the ball with either a recoil or not, we call that a spray or a square, you also have different release points. So this would be a straight square. This would be a square middle. This would be a square long. You really don't want to do a spray straight, but you could do a spray middle. And especially if people are racing you, you definitely want to be able to do a spray long. So just to summarize, if all those shots may have had the same point for entering the goal, so this would be the straight, then the middle, then the long, where it enters the goal, they would definitely have different release points. So in fact, you might actually release the ball here on a spray if you want the ball to enter here. What you're going to find is that depending upon your strength, your speed, your release point, your setup point, you might find that you have different release points, say, than your friend who shoots the same shot. What's important is that you can hit a reliable grouping of shots like you just saw, at will, with the right timing. They definitely have to be fast enough, they can't be raced. And also they have to have enough follow through that you can get bounces like that come back to you or that kind of clink in. So you want to have full control over all the shots. Definitely you want to have a smooth takeoff that cannot be read. You don't want to have a readable timing as to when you shoot it. You do not want to have things like telegraphs or tells about gripping the handle differently or setting your hand differently or anything like that. We're going to talk about some drills now for shooting the shot. One drill that I know that Todd Lafredo does is he gets something like in the order of 100 balls, and he's going to see how many of those balls, he'll put them in a big bowl right beside the table, how many of those balls can he shoot within a 60-second time frame with hand setting allowed. So we're only going to do this for 4 or 5 balls, but you'll get the feeling. Go ahead, Kenny, whenever you're ready. Beautiful. Great job. So again, you'd start the clock when 60-second finishes, you would count to yourself, and from week to week to week, what you're hoping for is a higher scoring percentage and a higher number of attempted shots. Of all the shots that I've faced, I would say the pull shot is probably the hardest one and the longest one to master. But when it's in the hands of a master, it is the most intimidating shot that I can face as a goalie. Hope you really enjoyed the pull shot. And we'll leave you right with Kenny. Go ahead. I'll defend a couple. So as you can see, very, very tough shot to defend. Hope you enjoy your pull shot, and even if you don't shoot it, we hope you can learn to defend it better. And that's it for now.